Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. Guys, you know, this is one of my favorite spaces right here is to welcome our guests because I personally deem that they're coming with a couple of things very expensive in my eyes. Time, my God, time. I misuse time, guys. When I was young, I just partied. But as I got older, I got a little wiser. You know, at least that's what the gray hair is supposed to represent. And I learned to honor her, respect time. I learned to partner with her. And boy, when I got those insights, I began to change. She began to equip me. She began to reward me with certain things. And I welcome you guys to come and learn of her. She's a powerful partner that you can walk with. The other is the journey. The journey, man, is a powerful creator. It has created the individual that is before us, and this is Katherine, and she's coming here to spend this expensive stuff with us. And we want to stop right here and honor her for coming and engaging with us. She is coming bringing wisdom, knowledge, insights. Why? So that you and I can become better human spirits while we are here on this planet Earth. Katherine, welcome to Threads of Enlightenment. Yeah. Yeah. I get it, girl. Age will do that to you too. I know, that's what I tell people. I was talking to my brother earlier and I said, you know what? He's talking, he said, how are you doing? I said, well, I know I'm on my last lap, so I gotta run as best as I can. You know, this is time. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, but we gotta deal with all of our We have to deal with all of our. No, I can't say what I want to say because I don't know. Yeah, if the kids listening to these things, but we have to deal with all of that. One of the questions that we ask while I'm here is how do you serve mankind? And I always have this disclaimer in there. I put this because I want the audience, the listeners, to convert to becoming hearers, but I put it to let them know that while we're here, it's not only about you yourself. It's also about the others, the collective, where we have to learn of each other, learn from each other, and assist each other to become better human spirits while we occupy this beautiful place called the earth. And so, my question to you is how do you serve mankind? Introduce yourself and tell them, how do you serve mankind? There's only a few of us. I love that. It's only a few brave men. Yeah. 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 Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. 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 Wow. I love it. And we're gonna get a little into the weeds, if you will, as we backtrack and get into all of that good stuff. But one of the things, because I love doing this, because I always tell people there's a genesis to us being given birth through trauma when we are young. And it's usually it can be a traumatic situation, and it also can be a very benign, simple, and I give the examples many times of a young individual wanting mom and dad's attention. And mom and dad are absolutely, truly busy. And they may look at that individual and said, we can't do it now, or no, not now, I'm too busy, or whatever. And that young individual interprets that as rejection. Mom and dad did not mean as a rejection, but the interpretation, the perception that that child has is that mom and dad reject them. And based on that, that young individual begins to develop certain mindsets and thought patterns and decision making, and that will affect them forever. So one of the questions that I always ask people I tell them, let's go back in time. We jump into this time machine. We have access of our time machine, Catherine, via the memory. And we want to go back to the very first space that we reside for a short while. And we have these two people in our life who are strangers to us. People tell us this is mom and this is dad. And mom and dad, they are traumatized for whatever. And these two traumatized folks are going to come together and begin to deposit data into you. What was that family like? Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. I agree. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not necessary. Yeah. But Catherine, that generation, yeah, that generation, that's what their programmers told them. And so their programmers programming that way, because my parents were the same way, in the sense where it took me a long time to be able to engage it to the point where they would allow us in, if you will, beyond the programs that they were instilled with. And that generation, as you said, you mentioned some of the hallmarks of that generation, that grittiness, tenacity of not giving up, not quitting. Those are the things that they instill in us, on the perimeter. But yet, because of such a sensitive individual in the midst of grittiness, and that's going to present some challenges right there. So now, how did this girl manage herself within the grittiness? If you can recollect some incidents, some emotional highlights, if you will, of how you manage yourself within that state, because they contradict each other. Yeah, yeah. 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 Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 No, I mean you're answering in it, Catherine, because yeah, yeah, you're answering it. And one of the reasons why I go back into that first stage, if you will, the family, and as I migrate There's a purpose to my madness, if you will. You had mentioned you had mentioned when you were talking about your business and the type of approach that you do with your business. And now that I pulled you all the way here, now you're seeing where it came from, that approach. And that's why I take people back so that the audience will have this journey to see this individual, this being walking through their life. They'll pick up these certain principles that they will adapt. They will announce those ones that they will resist. And so you're getting an insight now as to how this individual is forming themselves through their decisions and how some of the principles that mom and dad instills in us still walks with us as we walk into our life, and eventually we utilize some of it. And so you see this young girl now, as you're telling this aspect of the behind the scenes piece of it, if you will, we are seeing the threads, if you will, of how she is now weaving herself together to become that individual that you had expressed in the onset of the show. So here's this rebellious spirit in the midst of grit, fire. What a insightful individual to give your mom and your parents those types of guidance when it came to you to began to formulate and give you some structure and some freedom and all of those different things. What was your relationship like to others outside of mom and dad? How did you relate to your friends, your classmates? What was that, um, those type relationships like? Hmm. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. It's always, I love people from a distance, someone tells me. Yeah. But yeah, but people fascinate me really because I like to, I see people make a decision on something like that. The process of how they make the decision always fascinated me. Was how did they come about with that? What was the how their synapses programmed to pick that? Because you look at them going, "What the hell were you thinking?" But I was very fascinated. How did they put that together in their mind, and what did it look like in their mind to come up with it this way? And that's what was fascinating to me when I was dealing with people, because I was very fascinated in how that synapses in their brain produced that particular outcome, because I was also fascinated in me because I kept studying myself more so. And as you stated, and I tell people, we are our first client. And so we're going to try all kinds of crazy stuff with ourselves, but we are taking notes. And those notes that we are taking is eventually going to cause us to take to develop, if you will, our own little skew to something that everyone is doing, but it's based on more to our personality, our synapses, our insights and revelation on that particular thing. And then when it comes out of us, we have a certain degree of authority then when we approach and speak and move in it, because it is such a part of us that when we speak, someone will say, and they will notice it and says, you know something, when you talk about this thing, you talk to me, you see through me, and all of these things, these terminologies that they use, because it's in you, man. It's such a part of you that they know that you're not, pardon my French, and I'm learning the language, bullshit. Um, oh, okay, good. I'm glad you understand. And so they sense the power, the authority in you, because it is you. It's not a master class that you had for 2 days where you're just running and taking notes and not had an opportunity to experience the lab. And I tell people learning comes in two formats. You have the theory, and then you have the lab, by which you are now going to input and make those theories something that is practical. Many people that go through, yes, a lot of people go through the master class, but they have no practical application of it because most of them are one dimensional. But that's another story. So here you are, you're heading into college, and we all know those conversations that we like. And I like asking this question, Catherine, because I want to know which field of study you picked and why did you pick it? Yeah, because I knew you were in it. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. But there's no money in it. That's what he's saying, right? Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, they're programming. Yeah. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So was that my problem? Because I have my list is like two. I have 2 pages. I need to cut it down, is what you're saying, Catherine. I need to get me 5 so that I can crystallize it a little better, you know. You got yours in a couple of months, man. I got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And here, yeah. So here you are. Let me ask you this question: when you found your true um, therapist, because that is a journey, as you state, when you found that individual, what did she help you discover about you? Yeah. 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 There's hey guys, I hope you heard what Catherine has said there. She mentioned several serious hallmarks in personal development that you must go. Spaces, I tell people. Boundaries, one of the most important things you have to do in your life. For you men, vulnerability, one of the most important things you have to do in order to heal is to become vulnerable. If you are not, you will not heal. Period. I'm one of those guys that just don't mix. I don't lie to you. I don't have the time. If you're not vulnerable, you will never heal because that's the space by which you locate things about you, the things, the hard things, the dark things, the broken things. And when you become aware of that, it makes you vulnerable. And as you become vulnerable, you begin to heal. But if you are not going to allow that, to engage and feel the pain, to identify with it, to nurse it, to begin to expose it, you are being prideful, you're being all the other things that they say, and you'll never get it. One of the other things is boundaries. You cannot love, you cannot do all those things that the world doesn't like and doesn't respect. If you don't have boundaries, you'll be brutalized. So you must learn boundaries. They're there for your protection, not about the other people. Boundaries are there for you. It has nothing to do with the other individual. So learn to look into yourself, your being, and find your truth. And I tell people your truth will set you free because that's the principle. I don't know what that truth for you is that will allow you to create those boundaries, but you will know it when you identify it. It feels right. You know that this particular boundary is right for me. That's your truth. Implement it, put it in place, and watch it protect you. And so these are hallmarks of healing process that she's talking about. Identifying those dark spaces, having a guide that is able and wise enough to propose to her the correct questions that will locate her where she is and escort her out from where she is into that new perception that will bring her her freedom. Because, as I said, the truth will set you free. Whatever your truth is, it's designed to set you free. And so, be free. It is your choice, and but it's going to cost you something. This walk is not for wimps. I tell people, personal development is not for wimps. You have to be gritty. You have to be willing to fall, get up, walk, fall, get up, walk, and not learn to be frustrated. You have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to be patient with yourself. You have to learn to love yourself. These are the things that will allow you to continue the journey, even though you're beat up and bruised. But you've learned to love yourself so much that you know that you cannot stand down. You have to get up and dust yourself off and continue to move because you love yourself. And so here you are, Katherine, you're learning all these things about who you are. You're beginning to fall in love with this girl that had no voice. And you are able to recognize that your emotions are you, is a part of you. You're able to express it. You don't need to hide it. All of these things you're learning. What was happening to you? What did it do to you? Because, man, when you start recognizing all those things, that smile that comes on your face, the freedom of expression. Yeah, what were those things that began to boy, you guys see that grin on our face? Yeah, 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 yeah. It is. Yes, it's the key, Catherine. It's the key to everything. It's the key to everything. Everything. I think it's the key. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. We know where they're at. Yeah. I would hate that. I yeah, yeah. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. I, yeah. Yeah. One, one of the things that I'm learning, one of the lessons that I'm learning, and it's been a while I'm on this particular journey, but I'm beginning to become a little more aware of it, and I'm beginning to become a little more skillful at recognizing when I am out of being present. And this was happened a few days ago. I was at I was in the process of moving from one place to another, and I stood in front of a few items, and I looked at the items, and within myself, I'm just using this as an example of how this thing works to this degree. It's very simple, even to that. I'm looking at these few items, Catherine, and I'm looking at it, and I said, I should take those with me. And I remember coming out of that state, and because I started focusing on something else. And I remember looking at another item and says, I should take that with me. And I remember coming back and forth out of these things, and I left all the stuff that I said I should take with me. and I real yeah, I left it all behind. And I realized when I got to the other space, I'm doing all of these things, and every one of those items that I needed was in that house that I said I should take this with me. And I remember just talking about that to myself, saying, what a beautiful lesson. Because here you were present and you pull yourself out of it. And every time everything that you needed was what you had said you needed. And I realized that every mistake then that I've made is when I've come out of being present. And I was like, wow. And this was a few days ago that I started to really meditate and understand that. So my awareness of being present has ticked up a little. So now I know any little thing like that, I must be present to deal with it at that moment and then move out of to the next moment. Be present in the moment. And then when the second moment comes, then you move into that moment. But when you're present in that moment, you're in tune with all the other demands, requests, all of those things that are there for that moment was being placed and engaged within me. But because I'm a man and foolish, I walked away from it, girl. I wasn't in tune. And so, but I've learned that it has ticked up a little more. My recognition, even down to, I say that story, even down to that type of stuff, items. I'm like, wait a minute, there's something there, and I'm going to continue to become more aware. I think it's the key to all of it as I'm seeing. So here you are. I got a call from a friend of mine, and they told me, you need to get in touch with Catherine. I'm going through all kinds of crazy stuff. And he said, man, you need to call her because you look like your life is all over the place. I called you up And I'm asking this question for my listeners because I want you guys to see what you're getting when you make that call. Because the reason why I engage in this conversation is so that you guys can get comfortable with her. And when you call her, you're calling her for business because you're calling her to get real. I made the phone call. Well, there you go. So, hey, my friend Ken told me to give you a call. He said that you can help me, and I don't think I need that much help, but, and now we are going to engage. Walk us into that intro, and how do you move Ken, this guy that Ken just sent to you? How do you move him through from where that conversation is, where he is? You know, he told me to make the phone call, but I'm just calling just for the heck of it. You know, walk me through and walk us through how is that now going to become a potential client for you, how you can guide this individual and make him a serious client, if you will, that can come out on the other side and give you that 5-star review. I know you're just from just talking to you and reading this stuff, yeah. Yeah. Why would you call? Yeah, because he yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It is there. I hope you guys are really, really paying attention, man. Especially this piece about choice. When you find out who you are, your choices become better. Yeah, even the choice of clothes, because you will start picking the personality matches with you, and so once you find out who you are, your choices become better in everything in life, and that's what the journey is about. You begin to choose things where you were living on a default program. You became a designer by choice. I choose this, I choose that, I did, and so this whole conversation that we have had, and I want to take the time right now and thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. Guys, we're going to provide everything for you to get to her. I need you to get to her because she's going to help you with those choices because so that you can see who you are. She's going to guide you. Questions, the quality of questions that one asks will bring out a responses to where you are. They're going to locate you. I grew up in a church, and I use this example from time to time. The questions that being used, and I remember Jesus Christ walking. He comes on a scene. There's this pool of Bethesda, and a bunch of uh, could be hundreds of people there that are crippled and maimed and stuff like that, all hanging around there waiting for the time that an angel comes and touches the water, and that person who gets in there gets healed. Jesus comes and he sees this guy on the scene and he begins to inquire, who is this man? They tell him, well, he's been here 38 years. He's been born this way and whatever. Jesus looks at this man that is standing by a pool waiting to get healed and asks him this question. Do you want to get healed? Well, I'm standing by a pool, bro. I'm here at this pool. And the man said to Jesus, while I am trying to get to the water, someone else is getting before me. Jesus located him. He wanted to know, were you comfortable where you're at? Did you give up? Are you invested in what it takes to get there? The man is moving closer every year. He's getting there. He's pushing forward. And then Jesus looks at him. Once he located him, Jesus saw something else in him. We call that in religion faith. The man's faith was pushing him closer to that water. And Jesus looked at him and says, you. But here is a kicker, Captain. He says, you rise up. Let me see if your faith is going to make you get up. I need to see some things out of you. And he says, rise. The man, Jesus didn't put his hand out to pick him up. I didn't read that. He just said, rise, pick up your bed and walk. And the man got up, picked his bed up and walked. And so there is a degree of responsibility. The individual can only locate you by the questions, but the questions are designed to locate you to see if you give up. Where are you? What is your status in your situation? That's what she does. She's gifted at it. She knows how to do it. And I invite you guys, we're going to provide all the links for you to reach her so that she can locate you and help you to become healed from whatever situation you're in. Katherine, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.